Hi guys, welcome to a new video. Hope you had an amazing week. I had a lot of work, but I made some time to create this tiny quick video for you. I'm going to be painting a portrait today. I wanted to make it very simple, so if you are a beginner or if you are people who has launched recently on digital art, you can follow only these few steps to put some color and make your drawing more flowy and more catchy. I'm going to paint this portrait, and also I'm going to show you a little bit about the gradients on Clip Studio Paint, because I don't know if I didn't say that, but I'm going to be working in Clip Studio Paint today because, you know guys, lately I am super into the mood of Clip Studio Paint and working in the big tablet. I think I have some kind of periods of times where I prefer to work on the iPad and then I prefer to work on the big tablet, and right now I am in the big tablet mood. So as other people work in Photoshop, I work with Clip Studio Paint, and one of the amazing tools that Clip Studio Paint have is the gradients. You know guys, we already have gradients or a sort of gradients on Procreate, but they are not as useful or easy to use. And with Clip Studio Paint, and I think in Photoshop too, so if you are a user of Photoshop, please let me know if this is something, this is the way I say it, because I don't have any kind of idea. But in Clip Studio Paint, you can have or put different type of gradients, circle gradients, I don't know the name of that, striped gradients. So there's a lot of gradients, and I'm going to be showing you in this short video which one I try. Also, I always say that if you have to try everything and try the tools, so if you have Clip Studio Paint and you want to go further with your drawings, maybe you can use this tool, and maybe you can also, you know, try different gradients that I didn't try on that video. And I don't want to make this entry so long, so let's go to Clip Studio Paint. So it's time to start painting this drawing, and I always start with the skin. You know guys, I always make this primary layer where I paint the skin color on it, and this is what I'm doing right now. So you see, I'm just using the color drop to go super fast, as they take care that you have to close each gap. So I also check that the silhouette is looking fine and it's pretty neat in case I need to redo something with the brush. And the next step is start painting each element. For doing this, you see that I blocked the main layer, you know, the skin layer, I want to call it that way. I just selected that layer, and then in a new layer I'm painting different elements. For example, now I painted the cap, and now with the same color I'm painting this, not t-shirt, blues, shirt, not shirt is the word. So now I have in the same layer the cap and the shirt, and now in another layer I'm going to put it down of the cap because I wanted to have it covered for the cap. I'm going to start painting the air. Basically what I'm doing is organizing my my base color layer, so it's going to be easy to identify where it's going to be each one. You can put names. I didn't do that because you know, I'm very chaotic when I work, but Clip Studio Paint also helps me sometimes to get more organized, and I can add some you know, some color tags, so I know that the blue is the clothes and this kind of things. So I'm sorry if I'm chaotic in this process, if I might say. The next step for me is to start adding some lines for the separation of the skin. I already have that on the sketch, but as I want to, you know, I want to put the sketch every single time more or with less opacity. So I want to start very from the beginning, to start with the main lines I'm going to keep. Also, as I don't have a clean sketch that make that job, it's more easy for me to just move everything to my liking and see how it's working at the moment. Because sometimes if you have a clean sketch underneath, you know, the final sketch or the line art, it's more difficult to get, you know, a more dynamic pose because you are attached to the lines you have underneath. By the way, I didn't mention that at the beginning, but I'm using Kyle T browser brushes. They are in the Creative Cloud, so if you have a subscription for Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, or wherever, you know, the Creative Cloud, you can download them. I am using the dry ink pack, but it has a lot of packs available. And I like the dry ink because they are like super neat edges and they have some kind of texture, so I want to experiment with different brushes. So if you're wondering which brushes I'm using, it's these ones. You can see also the name in the right column and also which one I'm selected every single time I'm drawing. So now that I have the blush, that by the way, I didn't say that also either, but I just made like with a normal brush, like the silhouette of the blush. And with one of the Kyle's smudge brush, I just add this texture to the edges, and I think it looks cool. And this is something I'm trying to do more often, like playing with textures and also not even textured brushes. I mean, I think you can have textures just by normal brushes and then add some kind of a smudge brush that can give you some textures, like for example, the one I did with the blush, sorry. And I think it looks fine and it gives something different to your drawing. And now back to the drawing, I'm just adding some highlights to the air. If you, by the way, want to see how I paint air and tips and tricks for the air, you can check one of my latest videos where I explain how to sketch and how to paint air. So I'm not going to pay any attention here, but it happened something with this drawing because I wanted to keep like this pinky color and soft yellow thing, you know. I wanted to work with this color palette, and at some points it was like so boring, so I had to start adding like a lot of shadows and a lot of details on, you know, on the cap, also on the air. You see I just put this kind of gradient, and I'm playing now with some highlights, and I also try to put more detail on the edges of the air to create like these curly things, because otherwise it was looking so boring to see. So that's why you are going to see me playing out with reflections, shadows, and highlights. And now I'm going to do the cap shadow, and I tried something different because you know, I wanted to use gradients a lot, and I think Clip Studio Paint has a very useful tool and powerful tool for gradients. As you see, I am using this purple gradient to create like this effect, like you know, not having the same color. So I'm using also this color or this gradient with the shadow behind, you know, in the neck. So I'm creating like this kind of reflections from purples to dark purples. And then I decided that I needed to change the skin color because I think the gradient it wasn't looking the way I like. So I think it's interesting, guys, to play, you know, with the selection tool and also to play with gradients on your drawing, because you can have like interesting results. And for the freckles also, I tried different things. I am using the motion blur to soften a little bit the edges, and I think it looks so nice. And I think, guys, you can try it. You can do it also on Procreate and wherever, you know, Photoshop and this kind of things. And at that point I was looking at the air and I said, okay, it's a steel, it needs more contrast. So that's why I started adding even more shadows. Remember, I had like this first shadow or soft shadow at the beginning, then I added the highlights, then after that I added some lines to create like these curls at the end, but I still needed more. And the same with the you know, the line art. I think it was looking so boring, so that's why I decided to add like these touches in some parts to make like the line art more depth and look different. So I just choose one color and one more clear, not super white, but you know, like a clear color to play a little bit with the line art. I mean, this is not an exact line art, it's just some lines that I put there to differentiate things. And now, like the last part of the video, it's me playing with the gradients. I was very interesting to play with gradients and to see which ones are more interesting to do. I discovered some that can be very interesting, like this one. For example, you can use it for creating light effects or to give the illustration like a shadow part and then a clear one. So it's interesting also to play with the blending modes to see what can offer each gradient. For example, this is the rounded one and it's creating like this focusing thing, so probably you can use it to focus on a specific part of your drawing, for example the face, and then the rest like being in shadow. So basically I think gradients are a good tool to use for creating shadow effects or lighting effects. So if you have Clip Studio Paint or if you have Photoshop, I would suggest you to use it. In Procreate we have one thing that the gradients work different, so we can achieve this kind of effects with Procreate at least at that moment. But with Clip Studio Paint you can do it perfectly, and you see me trying different things. The last thing I wanted to add to this drawing, because I wanted to keep it super simple, I ended up not using any gradient, at least at that part, but I just added with this super soft brush some kind of lightning. You see I am using like a very pale purple color or lilac color to create like this lighting effect that comes from behind, and I think it's look cool. Also I played with the blending modes to see which one I prefer. So I think the add mode was like too much white, so I decided to leave it like in the normal mode because I wanted to keep like this small purple thing. So by the end I just used another gradient because I love them, and I decided to use it to create like a sunset effect on my drawings. You know guys, I like a warm drawing, so this is the final one I used after a lot of trying, and this is how the portrait looks. Very simple but also very catchy. So that's all guys, this is today's video. Hope you find it useful, hope you find or discovered something new that you can try in your day-to-day drawing system. So if you do, please leave me a comment and say if you have discovered something or if you already know that. For me it's like a new discover, and I really want to explore more what gradients can what gradients can bring to my drawings, and how I can play with them to make colors pop up or create different lightnings and this kind of stuff, and different effects also. So if you like this content and you want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe. And of course I want to give a huge to my patrons, because they are amazing and they are letting me the time to make this kind of videos. So thank you so much guys, and see us again next week with a new video. Keep creating guys. Bye bye.